Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Diz After Dark. I am Nick.
I'm Paul D.
Oh. That's the Pauls in stereo.
So you got us
That's how in sync they are now. How much of a team we are that we have to talk exactly the same time. Always finishing off each other's
sentences.
Sandwiches. Always sandwiches. We should know this by now. And it's not just the two Pauls and myself tonight. We do have another guest. And what makes this a bit more unique than the normal kind of guests we get on Diz After Dark is normally I'm the good-looking one. But tonight, that's not the case. Well, I kind of still am good-looking-ish, but we have someone even more good-looking. Mystery guest, would you like to reveal yourself?
Oh, hi, my name is Corinne, and thank you for the compliment. That's very nice.
Well, that's what us English are famous for, strange compliments. But it was
That's awesome.
It was meant to be. And Corinne, I mean, for people that don't recognise the name or don't recognise the voice, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Of course. So, okay, where do I start? I feel like I would mention so many things. I'm currently the owner of Disney Lifestylers on social media. I work for InsideTheMagic.net. I have a merchandise segment on the Big Fat Panda Show, and I'm also a part of the Dreamfinders documentary.
So basically, people listening to this podcast have probably caught you at least at one of these other places that they can find you. So
I like to get around. So
excellent. That's what I like to hear. Now, I'm not sure if you're too familiar with our podcast, but there is one way we start the show every week, and that is by having a drink. So just so we don't confuse matters, Mr. Dolan, if you'd like to kick us off.
Okay, I'm getting 2 of my 5 a day here. I've got a passion fruit and apple old moot cider.
Ooh,
cheers.
Very nice.
Corinne, that is alcoholic cider, not
soft,
the American stuff.
No, not the soft stuff. Mr. Washington.
Sadly, I'm being really boring tonight because I ran 15k this morning. So, a glass of water.
Very sensible after running such a distance. I have gone for a soft drink because I've run out of alcohol, unfortunately. So this noise here is, of course, the old familiar Cherry Pepsi Max.
So you're also getting one a day.
One of my 5 a day, which actually, Corinne, the reason I drink this is because when I first came over to America, I got addicted to wild cherry Pepsi. And we never had that in the UK until about 3 years ago, and they've called it Pepsi Max Cherry. So it's like a sugar-free version of that drink, but it tastes almost exactly the same. And
it sounds very sugary for being sugar-free.
Well, it's because it's full of fake sugar, isn't it?
Yeah, all the really nasty stuff.
Yeah, all the stuff that, probably will give me an early grave. But, let me try and enjoy this one.
But it's got cherries in it.
And there is cherries in it, yes.
Well, I drove 50 kilometres today and I'm drinking cider. I think you're wimping out there.
Yeah, I walked about 50 kilometres myself today to the shops and back to get some Taco Bell. Corinne, are you drinking yourself today, or?
I actually went to an event quite recently and had some champagne, so now I'm back to coffee because it was early for champagne.
Yeah, it's always 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm drinking iced coffee from Starbucks at Disney Springs.
Other coffee locations are, of course, available, not at Disney. There's reasons for that. But thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Whereabouts are you right this second? We can hear a little bit of background noise, which I like. Good ambience.
I tried really hard to find a quiet spot, but I never noticed how hard it was. So I'm at Disney Springs recently and just had a kid screaming right next to me. Disney Springs West Side, looking at the water, the big balloon. Disney balloon.
Wow.
So, lovely view.
So that's near the AMC, isn't it? That side of the... Yeah, okay.
Correct.
I've not been in almost 6 years, so it's trying to get my head around things.
Yeah, Disney Springs is looking, or like downtown Disney for the people who do not know, it's looking quite a bit changed nowadays. It's very, very in state of progress always.
So what's there at the moment? Because, last time I was there, we had Planet Hollywood, in the actual planet itself. Obviously, AMC cinemas. The Virgin had gone. It had turned into the car shop, the customized toy car shop. Can't remember what it's called now. But I believe a lot of the area has been kind of moved around. Well, not moved around, but changed somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, the Virgin thing is now the Splitsville restaurant that has the bowling.
Of course, yes.
And, I mean, Westside is quite the same, but over by Planet Hollywood right now, they're tearing part of it down to make it look different. It's still going to be Planet Hollywood, but it's going to be the Planet Hollywood Observatory instead. So, a little rebranding there.
Okay.
And then you have the STK restaurant that's opening soon.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, there's the whole town center section that's opening soon. It's quite a lot.
Yeah, because I've actually this evening I had some friends over, and she goes over quite a lot, and she was complaining about the fact that at downtown Disney Springs, that there's a lot of restaurants, a lot of eateries, but there's not much in the way of actual shopping. But
I mean, that's
changing.
going to change. Yeah, that's going to change. When Town Center opens, there's going to be tons of shops. It's going to be more, the normal mall kind of shops instead of Disney shops, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I used to... Sorry, Paul.
That's okay. I was just gonna ask. Disney Quest is still open, yeah?
Yes, that old dinosaur is still there.
Good. I've got a soft spot for it.
I know, but it's so old. It's like vintage nowadays. It's all trendy.
So am I.
We call it retro over here, don't we?
Yeah.
We refer to things like that. In fact, the people I've got over at the moment, they probably go to Disney World at least once, if not twice a year, probably minimum. Which from the UK is quite a lot, to be fair. But they told me tonight they've never ever been to Disney Quest.
Yeah.
All that
it's
time.
just one of those things you forget because it's quite hidden over on the west side. So,
And it's
always
been removed from our tickets now, hasn't it? Because we used to get it for free.
Well, I didn't know this until tonight. They said that, and the last time we went, it was still part of our park hopper. But yeah, they said that it's not part of that anymore, and it's $47 before tax.
Yeah, that's a little much for that.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about that. I mean, I'm not sure how much an arcade machine costs to play in America, but over in the UK, we're probably looking at anywhere between £1 and £2. So about $3 to $4 on average to play on an arcade game. So you'd have to play quite a few games to make up the money you'd spend to get in.
Yeah.
So.
And it's just that they don't have that many games anymore, and it's like if it's busy during like one of those rainy days, it's having to wait like 30 minutes to play a game is not fun.
Not when you spent such a premium to get in.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with that. But we could probably talk about Disney Springs all night, really, if we wanted to. But that's not really what we had you on to discuss. So I think the main thing we wanted to discuss with you, but of course you're welcome to discuss anything you want. But what we were looking to focus on was a documentary that we've been discussing on here recently.
The Dreamfinders.
So with that, because we had Anthony on recently. I was never sure whether to call him Anthony or Tony. So I felt comfortable. I called him Tony, but you listen back and think, oh, was that a little bit too friendly? I'm not sure. But and he was lovely, and he was telling us about his own experience with getting involved in this, getting it started, right up until his new adventure of moving down. I think the first question we all need to ask, because I know the Pauls are both dying to ask this question as well, but I'm going to jump in first. Does he have accommodation yet?
I think he does. It's it's a situation, so I think he's happy with it. I think he's happy.
Because when and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think when we spoke to him, it was the weekend he arrived, and he was just in a car.
Yeah.
And he was trying to settle in.
I think he got himself a place in Celebration. I mean, and that's the perfect place to be. So.
Indeed. Have you had much experience in celebration yourself, or?
I mean, I live quite close to Celebration, like 20 minutes. So sometimes we go there, walk the dogs, and look at all the mansions, that I can't afford to live in, but they're very pretty.
We described it as a little bit like the Truman Show or Stepford Wives. It's very particular, which I think
yeah, it's particular I feel like for the US, because it's all about like you can walk everywhere instead of drive. For me, not being from here, it's I'm like, yeah, walking. You can do that everywhere in Europe, so it's not it's not that big of a deal. But over here, it's very it's charming and cute and all that.
Very, very quaint, yeah.
Yes.
So you mentioned that you're not from around these parts, as it were. So whereabouts do you come from, and what's led you to Orlando?
I'm from Stockholm, Sweden, originally.
What?
And yes, I am. And I moved to the U.S. about 5.5 years ago. I went over here as an international student, and I went to college at the UCF over here. So it's University of Central Florida for hospitality management. So as you probably are very familiar with, everybody in Europe, getting into the U.S. and staying is not easy. So that was my ticket in.
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely not. I know lots of people that have tried to had that dream of setting up and moving over, and it's, as you say, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do at all. I should have guessed from your surname, really.
Yeah,
Swedish,
Andersson.
but because it's not the traditional spelling.
No, they cannot. They can never spell my last name correctly over here. It's very hard.
Because I actually have family in Norway, so
okay.
I'm quite familiar with Scandinavia. I've only been to Sweden once and spent a bit of time in Stockholm and Gothenburg, but lovely part of the world, and a little bit colder, I would say.
Yeah,
than Florida.
Not really a fan of the cold weather, so it's way better over here.
It's a little bit different because, I mean, Tony was saying just that, one of the best things about leaving New York was the sunnier climes of Florida, but I don't think he really understands what winter's like when he's not seen the winters you get.
No. Or the summers, for that matter, that, even though we have a short summer, it gets quite hot, and Sweden doesn't have AC.
No.
So that's lovely.
And also, depending on where you are in Scandinavia, I mean, my family are quite low, really, in Norway. They're not particularly up north, but in the summer, some nights you still have a bit of sun at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
So
that's nice though. I like that part where it never gets dark ever.
we didn't even know what time it was. We were just drinking, and then someone looked at the time and was like, "Oh, hello."
That's such a good excuse. You're like,
perfect.
Oh, whatever. It never gets dark.
It's the Vegas clock casino scandal all over again,
definitely.
Isn't it? That's brilliant. So I mean, that's quite a journey to go from Sweden to Florida. Do you ever miss home at all, or do you feel that Disney kind of fills that hole?
I have not been back to Sweden since I moved here, and I have no desire to ever go back. No, I moved with my sisters. I have my sister over here. My parents bought a vacation house over here, so they're here all the time. Everybody's just getting over here instead, so that's perfectly fine with me. I don't want to go back.
So, you mentioned some of the other places that you do work to do with Disney. What was it any of those in particular that got you onto this documentary, or how did you begin your involvement with it?
I'm mainly because John, who's Big Fat Panda, I do a segment on his show, and we're friends, and he kind of helped Tony with connect him to people that were going to be in the documentary, and he was just like, okay, we have 3 guys, we need some women in this documentary. So he suggested me and JL to Tony to kind of even it out a bit, because he was like, yeah, they're all like 3 guys, kind of Italian looking, and
it's a bit too mafia.
Yeah, exactly. So
Understand.
He needed to round it out. So John kind of connected me to Tony, and And he was just like, he kind of liked my story that I was from Sweden and that I moved I did move for the Disney reason. And just that I did the merchandise thing that he felt was, a little bit of a different area compared to everybody else. So I think that's why I got picked. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we've actually had to do similar on this show, haven't we, guys?
Yeah.
Like as of very recently, actually, we've got a lovely new person who hasn't been on the show yet. She will be coming on the show shortly, called BostonWhite, who is a vlogger.
Awesome.
And so she's kind of being our female companion, because I think that, it was a little bit blokey in the Mouse's Head, wasn't it?
Yes.
With
a little bit, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that's in general. If you look at the Disney community, even over here, like a lot of bloggers, podcasters are guys. So that's just how it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know, guys. What do you think is the reason for that? Do you think there's a common theme, or?
I'm not convinced that there is. It just seems to be the way it is, that it kind of, this is the thing, we'll sit down and chat about rubbish most of the time, like we're in a pub, and I think that's kind of where it comes from. I think it is just guys talking about stuff like they do when they go for a drink.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, in the UK we have Loose Women, and in America they have The View, so we know that women can sit there for an hour and talk rubbish. But there definitely does seem to be more of a male dominance when it comes to
I think it could be like the tech part of it too. Not to say that girls are not into tech, but just the whole like online and podcasting and all that is maybe just the thing that guys got into way before girls did. So
possibly. I mean, at the same time, if this monkey can record a podcast and push it out, then it can't be too hard for other people as well.
No.
So it was really your association with Big Fat Panda that got you involved with the documentary.
Yeah, and then of course he already had Ricky in the documentary, and I worked for Ricky, so it was like I kind of bridged the gap between those two in there.
I think that's quite certainly a key theme that we're getting from the documentary. I mean, obviously we haven't seen it yet, and we're eagerly awaiting its release. But there does seem to be, quite a family feel. People knowing each other and working with each other. So, I'm hoping that kind of shines through on it.
It does. I mean, it's very sorry. I had a couple of kids next to me. I had to it is. I mean, over here, it's very much like if you go to all the same things, it is a small community, and you start to recognize the same people. And even though we're all kind of in competition to each other, we do all hang out and know who each other are and stuff. So it's fun.
So did you know everybody before the documentary then, Corinne?
Yes, I did. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I hang with them all every week, but except Panda, who's currently sitting right next to me. But otherwise, yes, I met all of them before, and we know each other.
It's not long now, is it? Is it the 17th of May?
Yes. No, 16, I think.
16? That's not 16. Bad memory from a bloke, is it? To be honest. No. I'm not even looking at anything.
Even I are like, wait, I can't remember.
Actually, if you can hear some background noise now, that's my faithful companion, Flynn, barking because people are leaving. See, most dogs would actually bark because somebody's trying to break in.
Yeah.
That's right, but no, he actually barks when they leave. Barks when they arrive, barks when they leave. He's a crazy kind of dog. I just lost my train of thought. Then I was gonna have a really riveting question, and my mind's gone blank. Does anyone want to fill in? Well, my mind's gone blank.
I think we've got a couple of questions from Facebook as well.
Oh, super! Okay. If you've got access to those, knock them out.
Yeah, in fact, we've got a couple from Boston, our new vlogger, for you. What is your favourite part about doing what you do? Is the first question.
Okay. My favorite part is, first of all, it's really able to, like, I work from home. I work from home in the way that I don't have an office that I go to every day, and I get to spend a lot of times in the parks. It's work, but it's still fun, you know. It's a hard thing to explain to people because people do see it in the parks all day, and it's not really like that. But it's still, I mean, how can you complain when your job entails going to the Disney parks? It's something I'm ever going to complain about. So I really love that part. But then the other part that I really love is just meeting all the people that I've met because of my job, and you know, people who just feel like they want to meet you, they want to talk to you and hang with you. And that's, you know, coming from Sweden where I didn't really have any friends who liked Disney, coming over here and just being surrounded by other Disney fanatics is amazing. So that's probably my two favorite things.
And the second question was, what is your all-time favorite piece of Disney merchandise?
Whoa.
Oh God, that's so hard.
Funimation, obviously.
Yeah, and I shop so much. And my favorite merchandise, I could probably not just say one thing, but everything from Tokyo Disney or Disney Store Japan. There is nothing they do that is not just amazing. And I hate them because it's so hard to get and it's expensive, and you know, it's not the same merchandise as we have over here in the US. So those are my favorite.
I completely sympathise because my daughter's called Alice, named after the character from Alice in Wonderland, surprisingly enough. So you can only imagine the stuff that we see that we want to buy for her, and just can't. I mean, the kind of plushes and toys you can buy in Japan of characters that you'll never see in America.
Yeah, they just love Alice over there. So they're always releasing huge collections. And, you know, I have personal shoppers over there that I usually buy from, but it's, you know, some thing where it's like, now you live over in the US and by these parks, and all I'm thinking about is like, I want to get over to Tokyo.
Was there any others, Paul?
Yeah, there's one more from one of our listeners, Stephen Maxwell. It's a bit of a funny one. Please, can you ask Corinne if the service that she provides in promotion of Disney should get her some sort of gratuity or payment from them?
I wish. That would be really nice. So here's the thing. I work with covering Disney news and stuff, but I don't work officially for Disney. Everything is, and people do have that misconception where they think that we work for Disney, and it's not really like that. We're completely unofficial. Do we get invited to media events and stuff like that when they want to promote something? Sure, but we never get paid by Disney, ever.
No, it's one of those, seems to be one of those really unfortunate things, isn't it, really? That would be the kind of ideal, I think.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, the official Disney Parks blog and their Twitter, of course they have marketing and social media people, but that's, most fan sites or websites and podcasts out there are not employed by Disney, so.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. So one thing, and Paul, if there's any more that come in while we're recording, please shout up. But
okay.
One other thing that I wanted to ask, you kind of mentioned a little bit of it in brief earlier, but I wanted to kind of delve a bit more, was, as you say, Sweden is quite far from Florida, and you don't tend, you know, like you hear of a lot of people from the UK or from Europe going to Disney World quite often, but not so much, you know, Scandinavia and you know, Russia and places like that. So what, I suppose there's a few questions here. When did you first go to Disney, and what was it that made you want to move from Sweden to Florida?
So I had an aunt who used to live in Florida as a kid. So my parents, I think my first trip to Disney, I was like 1 or 2, because we used to go every year during the summer and visit her and stay here. So, you know, I grew up going to the Disney parks thinking that all kids in Sweden get to go to Disney. Not very, very spoiled, you know. And then you know, you get that period where you're not really interested in it. And then in high school, I went on vacation over here, and I had bought an annual, like a 2-week pass to Universal and just a 1-day ticket to Disney, because, you know, I was going to go for the thrill rides, not the kiddie stuff over at Disney. And basically went to Disney one day, Magic Kingdom, saw Wishes and all that, and was just hooked, you know, totally like I can't do anything else. I just want to go to Disney all the time. And that, I think I was like 16, 17 by that point. Then I just knew that I wanted to move to the US and be close to Disney.
As I said, I think we do understand that kind of wish completely. Blooming family commitments and that kind of stuff, guys, eh?
Yeah.
Gets in the way.
Certainly does.
Yep.
It's just one of those things. I was young enough that I could, it was the plan to begin with that I wanted to move over here. So.
No, I mean it's great, and I'm glad it's worked out for you. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to just pause this conversation just for a second because we've got some bills to pay, and we have to get people to pay those bills. And one of the people that helps us pay that bill is our friend at Magical Journeys. Isn't that right, Mr. D?
That's right. Wendy Prater at Magical Journeys. She's a Disney specialist. So whether you've been to Disney World once or 100 times, there's still lots of planning involved. So let Wendy be the one up at midnight when your window opens to get that tough ADR, like be our guest. And if you mention that you heard about Magical Journeys on Disney After Dark, you'll get 25% off your deposit. So remember, it's Wendy Prater at Magical Journeys, mpmagicjourneys.com, and remember to mention Diz After Dark.
Please do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think Wendy's going to be. I mean, I like to think Wendy's happy with her promotional plugs anyway. But I mean, if you heard the background music just then, that kind of jazzy number that was going on in the background, I mean, that could be my favourite advert ever, Mr. D.
It was atmospheric, wasn't it?
It was. I thought so.
I'm sorry, because I'm walking through Disney Springs. We're heading over to the new section because the construction walls just came down.
Ooh.
So part of my job is going there today and filming and taking photos.
And we're along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yes.
really cool. So, so I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the documentary. So what's your part on the documentary?
I mean, I think first of all, Tony really wanted us to explain what we saw. Like, what is it that draws us to Disney? What is that magic that everybody wants to be close to it and work with it and all that. So I tried to explain that. And then I think I just kind of showed a different side compared to all the other guys on the documentary.
Fair enough. And maybe that was the balance that needs to be addressed. Really, you don't want too many men for like an hour and a bit.
Yeah.
Talking about.
I just think he wanted to have like one person who everybody could identify with. So, being both from another country and a woman, then I cover a certain basic.
You do tick some boxes.
Mm-hmm. Demographics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going off, because there were a few things that we wanted to discuss on shows tonight, because, I mean, obviously we talk about Disney news as well. But one thing I wanted to ask, I know a few people have done this now, have you seen, or have you had a chance to see the live-action Jungle Book?
I have not seen it yet, unfortunately, because I'm a horrible person that I keep waiting for the Disney Parks blog to have their free screening, and then they never did. I'm used to getting to see my movies for free, so they skipped doing a Parks blog meetup for that movie, so I haven't seen it yet. Disgraceful!
I can't believe they did that to you. That's terrible.
I know, it's so horrible.
Well, I mean, because Mr. D, you've seen it.
Yeah.
And you wrote a review. I kind of wrote a mini review. You've not seen it, Paul?
I still haven't seen it. No. I went to see Civil War instead.
Oh my God, you've seen it already? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good point actually, because as some people may know, for some reason, for a lot of things we're months behind America. Mm-hmm. But other times, especially with Marvel films, we're normally a week or two ahead. So Civil War actually opened up last Thursday.
Yeah, it was
so jealous.
Friday.
midnight Thursday.
Yeah, so Friday, like I suppose, like early morning Friday. Yeah, okay. We'll talk about Civil War in a minute. The only reason I wanted to mention that was because the Jungle Book has now surpassed $600 million worldwide.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it sounds really good.
Massive, massive success. Because I don't know what your view on this is, Corinne, but I was kind of expressing the other week my kind of worry that Disney are putting a lot of eggs in this live action basket. Because I mean, there's just, we were talking about it on last show, weren't we? But you know, we've got Beauty and the Beast coming out, Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
He's
There's
forgotten
tons.
the others.
I did a
Mulan.
post for Inside the Magic, and it's 16 movies they have in the works that are animation to live action, which is just insane. Yeah.
That is.
I mean, we'll see if all of them get made, but just that they have 16 planned is kind of crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I'm still waiting for Tron 3 to happen, so I know what it's like for Disney to announce something and then pull the rug out from underneath you at the last minute. But yeah, but saying that at the same time, you know, I wasn't particularly fond of Maleficent. I wasn't particularly fond of Cinderella, but the Jungle Book I thought was really well done. So while I still think it's a little bit of an odd thing to do to put so many films on like that, if they're going to be up to the caliber of the Jungle Book, then I'll give them a bit of a pass, to be honest. But I think that probably makes it probably its biggest live action hit.
Yeah,
I don't think Maleficent made that much money. I'll have to double check, but yeah, and you know, we all know this podcast is often factually wrong, so we'll probably find out Maleficent made like $1 billion for no apparent reason whatsoever. It's another fight for another day. But yeah, so I think we have to be careful, Paul, with where we go with this next.
Yeah.
But as you said, Captain America Civil War has come out already, so without revealing too much, can you kind of just give us enough information for us to all have our appetites whetted?
Does he die at the end?
That's a spoiler.
Too much, Mr. Dave. Straight
Too much?
in.
Oh, okay.
What I will say was, I know it's getting a lot of really great reviews, and don't get me wrong, I loved it. I'm still a huge Marvel fan, but it's not quite up to the standards, I'd say, of the first Avengers film, and probably not even the last Captain America film, for me. It's probably in my top 3 or 4, but I wouldn't put it right at the top. I still think the first Avengers is up there, as is Winter Soldier. As you can probably tell, a lot of people have talked about it as looking at it and seeing all these superheroes and going, why is it not called Avengers? It's very much still Captain America's story.
That's good. It's really good.
It's very much about him and about Bucky, and that whole storyline more than it is pitting the Avengers against the Avengers. I'm on the edge about Black Panther. I liked him, but at times he got on my nerves a bit. And I know he's getting a lot of rave reviews about being this great new character. Spider-Man, brilliant. He's right up there as the best Spider-Man, even after only seeing him for one film. But it was the returning characters for me that had that backstory, and even ones that we'd not seen a lot of. Scott Lang, Ant-Man, brilliant. It's a wonderful introduction to the Avengers, and I'm glad he's now part of it, and it kind of does set up his next film as well. What we should be looking forward to in the next Ant-Man film. And of course, Robert Downey Jr., what can you say about him?
He is Iron Man.
Yeah, you just run out of words for him. It's just, even when you don't think there's going to be something there's just that spark that he gives to a film. And I'm not going to give away any of the storyline. I think we know the basis of what the film's built around. But yeah, it's definitely up there in the top 3 or 4.
So, in terms of that, because as a lapsed comic book fan, and by that I mean I still like them, but I run out of time to read comic books a good few years ago now. I'm kind of familiar a little bit with the Civil War storyline. How closely does that? And I mean, I know it's hard because this film is obviously, part 1 and 2, but up to the end of the part 1, how much does that closely follow the actual storyline of the comics?
To be fair, other than it being Captain America versus Iron Man, it really doesn't. It's not that close to it at all.
Oh wow!
The reasons for the battle has nothing to do with that original storyline from the comic book. It's basically just taken the name and the 2 main characters.
Now, I know we said no spoilers, so I know that I'm asking a lot here, but I just want to be clear at no point, because obviously we know that the main rivalry from the trailers is Iron Man and Captain America. At any part of the film, do they discover that their mother's name is Martha?
No.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. As long as that's cool.
That was the thing you were worried about.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's already ruined a comic book film I couldn't be bothered to go and watch this year. I didn't want it to ruin another one that I will actually pay to go and watch. But yeah, that did make me laugh.
No, I did go and see the ultimate superhero movie last week. Not Disney though.
Ultimate superhero film.
The Man Who Flies.
I know who you're talking about. You're talking about Edwards.
Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah.
What a guy.
And it didn't, I mean, not too surprisingly, but it didn't do that well in America.
Yeah.
I think it was, I think his story wasn't as well known.
Well, Wolverine didn't get his claws out. I think that was the problem.
He definitely should have done.
He should have done that. I mean, that would have made the ski jumping a hell of a lot more interesting.
Yeah. Do you reckon Eddie the Eagle might appear at the end of the new X-Men film?
Yeah, I think there'll be a little thing at the end.
Do you think that's the cameo in the trailer? It's not Wolverine.
Yeah, it's actually Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah, it's Eddie the Eagle.
And it's talons, not claws. I get it. Very good. And also, just in case you need to be told this, you shouldn't do. But there is, at least in the UK release of the film, when we're talking about Civil War again, there is a midway credit scene, and there is also one right at the end of the credits.
Yes.
I mean, nearly anyone that's ever seen a Marvel film will stay right to the end of it anyway because of the...
Yeah, but people still go.
Exactly.
Like, they leave before. And I'm like, have you not learned by this point? It's like...
It's not like they did it once. It's not like they did it once. I mean, I think even the first Iron Man had one, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So I don't...
Samuel L. Jackson was in the end.
Yeah, of course he was. Yes. Yeah.
Even Deadpool, who's not even directly connected to Disney, had after credit scene. So
what I liked about that
really
one
weird.
as well is because I saw that one at Deadpool was people taking quite a while to go, oh, it's a Ferris Bueller reference. That's why he's wearing the same outfit as him at the end of the film. It's like, yes, he's wearing the same dressing gown and it looks the same kind of set because it's supposed to be ripping off that film. So, I understand it if you were born past 1986 or something and maybe not knowing that film very well, but come on. Going back to what we were saying about the Jungle Book, actually, I forgot about this. Alice in Wonderland is their biggest success in that avenue as of now, of course. Which it's weird because I know it is, but I never considered Alice in Wonderland a live-action remake because the story is so different.
I'm such a bad Disney fan. I haven't even seen it. So,
the cartoon or the live-action one?
Yeah, the live-action one. Yeah.
Okay, because I mean, my daughter's just started getting into it. She loves the cartoon, which is lucky for us since she was named after it. But she started to watch the live-action one, and it's only through repetition that I've actually started to really enjoy it. I don't rate it that highly, but I mean, obviously Maleficent takes a lot of credence with the Sleeping Beauty story, and Cinderella is quite faithful to the cartoon, I think. But Alice in Wonderland, the storylines are different. The characters are the same or very similar, but even some of the characters are different as well. So I don't really see it. I mean, Jungle Book to me is quite faithful to the cartoon. Would you say, Mr. D?
Yeah, I think so. Same basic elements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, obviously
good.
some differences, but I don't understand everyone kind of getting upset that Car's voiced by Scarlett Johansson. That confuses me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see what she brought to it. Just having her voice there for that, but it didn't bother me.
No.
It's good. It's good to hear that Bagheera's in the new Captain America movie, even though he did annoy Paul.
Yeah.
Getting that
Have you seen
crossover, that universe.
Yeah, there's a meme going around that's a picture of Mowgli and Bagheera. And then there's another one, and it's Black Panther and I think it's Spider-Man.
Well, I was
instead.
I was trying to cause chaos yesterday on someone else's show, in my Disney opinion, where I hilariously confused the Black Panther with the animated Pink Panther. Unfortunately, Mark didn't get the joke as quickly as I was hoping, so it kind of fell a bit flat. But I thought it was very funny because I asked about if he had a bumbling French sidekick, but yeah, it didn't really work. So, Alice in Wonderland is the biggest worldwide grossing, as of now, live-action Disney film at just over $1 billion.
Well, I'll be futterwhacked.
Maleficent is second with 758. Jungle Book, though, is at 684. So, I mean, it's inching closer and closer to Maleficent. I reckon it will surpass that within the next month.
It's got to, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't see it not. And the lowest one so far, don't know why it's saying it, but Oz the Great and Powerful. I don't know what cartoon that Disney made that's a remake of, but yeah, that's on that list as well.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, I'm actually surprised it made as much money as it did, that piece of crap. But
we saw it. It was on the BBC at Christmas, and we literally watched the first 10 minutes and turned it off.
I've got to be honest, the first 10 minutes or so in 3D were really good. They made a lot of good use of pop-out effects and things like that. But the rest of it, no matter how pretty it looked, just bored me to tears. Just very dull. Just disappointing, really.
It was a disappointment. Yeah. I did quite like Alice in Wonderland, though. I thought that was pretty good.
We watched the trailer for the new one today, because the new one comes out in a few weeks. In fact, I tell you what, one thing I don't understand is Disney have really packed out their schedule. Because we had Zootopia a few weeks ago. Jungle Book.
Yep.
2 weeks later, or 3 weeks later, depending where you live, Civil War. Then at the end of May, we've got Alice Through the Looking Glass. And then we have, in June, Finding Dory, Disney Pixar. And then in July, we've got the BFG.
Yeah. But I think that's because they have so many IPs by now. They have so many different, like Pixar, and then you have the animation and Marvel, and they bought so many companies.
I know, but they're literally it's almost like they're releasing a film a month.
Yeah.
In fact, they probably are. I reckon by the end of the year there'll be 12 Disney films. Or
you got Rogue One as well at the end of the year.
Rogue One.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
In October.
Oh.
Is Thor out this year as well?
No, that's next year.
Okay.
I think that's next October.
Right, I thought it was this October. That's why I was getting a bit confused.
No, it's Doctor Strange this October.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I understand now why they turned around and said that they're not going to be, we don't have room in the schedule for Tron. Because they probably don't. When else are they going to release another film? But
they've even axed another Marvel film.
They have, haven't they? Inhumans.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's on the way out. I did see that one. But the bad news, of course, is with all of these films, the ones they did announce. So Maleficent 2 is definitely on, with Jolie back. And did you hear that they're doing Cruella de Vil?
Yeah, with Emma Stone.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if anyone else watches it, but my wife watches Once Upon a Time.
Yes.
You watch that?
Yep,
I saw. I don't watch it, but I sometimes will be sitting there when she's watching it on Netflix, and Cruella de Vil's in that at the moment. And
she's pretty good, that woman who plays.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be fair, I think because of the outfit and the hair and everything like that, and the way she was acting, you could tell who she was supposed to be, which is good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Emma Stone's a little bit of a stunt cast, to be honest. I think she's a popular actress at the moment. Jolie, to me, when they announced her as Maleficent, I could see it straight away. But I don't really see Emma Stone in that role.
I don't know. No.
Just a bit of an odd one.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to knock spots off it.
But
It depends on if they're going to be super faithful, to the animation, or if they're going to take it in a new direction.
Well,
maybe, but
we've already had, haven't we? So other than Once Upon a Time, we've already had Cruella de Vil twice in live action before that.
Yeah.
In 101 and 102 Dalmatians. But it's the fact it's going to be like an origin story is what's interesting me, because in Maleficent, they tried to make Maleficent not the bad guy, didn't they? It was supposed to be, actually, Maleficent was really nice and kind and not evil at all, and kind of changed the whole perception. So, interesting to see if that's what they're going to try and do with Cruella de Vil, or if they are just going to explain why she's as horrible as she is.
I mean, if you're born called Cruella...
People hated that with Maleficent, did they?
I did personally. I was on that same podcast yesterday. We were talking about my opinions on Maleficent, and I think it was well cast for the two leads of the King and Maleficent. But I thought the actress playing Aurora was terrible. I mean, her British accent was bad. It's Dick Van Dyke levels of bad. And I didn't like the fact that it changed Sleeping Beauty as a story, because it kind of like removed all of that that stuff that you grew up knowing from the cartoon. So that's what I didn't like. And to be honest, what else has Maleficent got to say? Do we really need a second Maleficent film? Did we not say all we needed to say in the first one? I don't know. It's odd.
Yeah, got to keep those franchises rolling.
You do.
Yeah,
Star Wars can be around forever.
Otherwise, they have to come up with original.
Yeah.
I did feel sorry for what was the actress who played Aurora? What was her name?
Oh my god.
Anyway, I just felt sorry for her, because I think at the end of each day's shooting, she must have had like 2 ice packs on her cheeks, because she just smiled so hard through the whole thing. At the end of the day, she must have been like, "Oh my god, my face aches."
Elle Fanning. That was it.
Yeah. Right.
I knew she had a famous sister, and I couldn't remember who her famous sister was. Elle Fanning. There you go. Yes. Yeah, but no, I know what you mean. Very, very smiley. Very smiley. That's all the film news. Now, we do have another sponsor. Now, the sponsor itself hasn't changed. However, due to differing circumstances, I believe, Paul... Sorry, I've got such a lump in my throat tonight. I believe we're not going to be doing our usual plug for him.
No, we're not. So, Logan has started a new podcast. This one based around Halloween Horror Nights. It's called Scare Zone. And Logan will actually be joined by one of our regular co-hosts, Christopher Ripley. He'll be joining them, obviously, with his Halloween Horror Nights knowledge, having written a book about it. And they'll also be joined by ex-WWE wrestler Scotty 2 Hotty. They've released their first episode now, and that was talking to one of the people that created Halloween Horror Nights at Orlando. So that's out, and I believe the second episode's ready to go, which will introduce Scotty to the audience. I think Chris did his on the first episode. And yeah, the second one's due out shortly, I think.
Wow. So
cool.
That's available on iTunes and
all the regular places. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, co-host of Europe's biggest Disney podcast, author of various books, and now co-host of another podcast. We're going to have to start calling him the talented Mr. Ripley.
Ba-boom!
Hey.
Yeah. It's shows like that it makes us wonder why we continue with this show. So anyway, give them a listen as well, if not just to support our good friend Mr. Ripley. Right. Was there anything else that we wanted to discuss tonight, or in particular?
Philip, we talked about Tokyo merchandise earlier.
We did.
But some pretty big news
Yes.
in terms of expansions at Tokyo.
Now,
Quite a
Corinne,
big.
is this something you talk about yourself as well? Do you talk much about the other parks, or is it normally focused on the Orlando area?
You mean with work or stuff? Or?
Yes.
Yes. No, we cover all of the parks. So, of course, when somebody announces like new rides, that's amazing. It just sucks that it's never in the US anymore.
Well,
it's like, not to complain, but like a Beauty and the Beast ride, because that's just amazing. And even Big Hero 6, that they're getting an attraction based on that. Japan is really amazing.
But you've got to remember our local park is Paris. So, Mr. D, what are the details on these new rides if people haven't seen the stories?
Damn. I knew you were going to ask me that.
One of them.
I did have it up above.
One of
Big Hero 6, yeah. And it's in both parks, isn't it? It's in Disney Sea and it's in the Disneyland park.
One of them's Big Hero 6 and one's Beauty and the Beast, I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
there's coincidence there, yeah. And I mean, the Big Hero 6 ride, I couldn't work, because I mean, there was drawings, but it's hard to make out sometimes what the rides are going to be. It looks a little bit like a teacup ride.
Yeah, I did.
But I think it's going to be a bit more than that.
It's not going to be done until 2020, so I'm expecting it's probably going to change quite a lot until then.
Yes. Yeah, I'd imagine so. And what the Beauty and the Beast, is that going to be a dark ride, do we think, or?
Yeah, they said it's going to be a whole land, actually, but
oh wow,
it's going to include dark ride and restaurants and everything. So.
Yeah, and a shop. It says it'll recreate Beast's Castle and Belle's Village. And then the ride will take guests right into Beast's Enchanted Castle. So, and then also there's going to be a new live theatre in Fantasyland.
Yeah.
And some expansions to Toontown. Yeah, it's definitely on my bucket list, Tokyo.
Yeah, God. It's the ultimate park.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about our ultimate parks before. I mean, I really do want to visit Shanghai. I'm not going to be able to visit either Shanghai or Tokyo or Hong Kong, but I'd love to. I mean, really, Shanghai just for the Tron ride and also the new Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm interested in that because it's quite funny. Like, I love Pirates of the Caribbean, and I don't like the changes they made in the two American parks, which I believe we are still going to get in Paris, because I like the traditional version. But
you mean that they added Jack Sparrow and stuff?
Yeah, and I know it's minor. But to me, when I was going around it, I knew it had been added. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, they made the animatronics look as good as possible. They didn't look completely lifelike. They were still in the style of the rest of the pirates, but they still looked different. Yeah, but the fact that, you know, in Shanghai it's a completely new ride that's completely different to any of the other rides is what interests me about that. And they can base that around the film franchise, no problem. I've got no problem with that at all. But I kind of wish they'd kept the original rides the same. I suppose rides are going to change, haven't they? What can you do?
Yeah.
Was it just those two, Mr. D? Those two rides?
Well, you got the theatre. You got Mickey's Toontown. There's some expansion there. I think Minnie's going to get a new meet and greet. Big Hero 6, The Beauty and the Beast. So I think there was one other, but can't locate that.
Yeah, I was
Soaring.
Soaring. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, because they had unusual. It's not a hangglider, is it? It looked like a kind of horse-drawn carriage, or not a horse-drawn carriage, but a carriage you were in rather than a hang glider. So that was.
And I think the movie's going to be different too. So.
I'm guessing it will probably be different. It will probably be the one that they're looking to introduce in the other parks. They'll probably just try and uniform it. I'd have thought. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But lots of change. Actually, we've got a new meet and greet in Disneyland Paris.
Ooh.
That got knocked up the other day. A Winnie the Pooh one. The only problem is that they've spelt honey wrong on the pots around the tree.
Seriously?
So it's spelled correctly.
It's spelled the correct way instead of the Winnie the Pooh way.
Yeah, which is just completely wrong, and it's such a schoolboy error, but what can you do?
Bunny.
That's it, exactly. Let's just spell it right, Disney, for God's sake. We're almost running out of time. So with that in mind, Corinne, if you would like to, well, first of all, if you wouldn't mind telling people where they can get the documentary from, or how they can obtain a documentary, that'd be great. And then if you want to plug anywhere for people to find you, please do.
Of course. So Dreamfinders documentary you can find at dreamfindersmovie.com on May 16, and you can, of course, see the trailer and everything and pre-order it right now. You can find me at instagram.com/Disney Lifestylers, and you can find links to all my other social media on there. And you can find my articles on InsideTheMagic.net, and also Big Fat Panda Show. Check that out on YouTube.
We've had Big Fat Panda on before. He's been a great guest, and yeah, he does some very good work. That's excellent. Well, thank you very much for taking time to join us, especially being in such a glorious location. I mean, right now, well, we're in England, it's dark. It's been quite nice weather-wise, to be fair, but it's not been Orlando weather.
No.
And you're at Disney Springs, so somebody has a better life. So, enjoy your day. Say hi to the BFP for us, please. And
I will.
Thank you very much. And anytime you want to come on, just give us a shout, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. But on that note, time, gentlemen, please. And the voting is still open for the results, isn't it? For another week.
Yeah.
Please do that on our Facebook page, facebook.com/DisAfterDark. Where else can they find us, Mr. D?
They can find us. Did you say Facebook? You said Facebook.
I did, yeah.
They can find us on our blog, disafterdark.blogspot.co.uk, and we're also on Twitter at disafterdark.
So what professional! I messed up his own work there, and he still managed to get the stuff right.
It was just seamless, I know.
Oh, just amazingly well
done.
What
a pro.
Oh, absolutely. And also, if you wouldn't mind leaving us a review on iTunes, it'd be mostly appreciated by all of us, but especially Craig, because he loves an iTunes review.
Preferably a good one, but whatever, you know.
We do like good ones, but we have read out really bad ones before, so give us, I tell you what, give us a 5-star review, and if you want to slag off the show, do it in the comments bit, but still give us 5 stars, and we'll still read it out, so it's fine. But thank you very much for joining us, and we will speak to you in a week's time. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks,
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.